got the boobs wrong. Hello, my name is Martina. I am a portrait artist based in Austria. In this video, I'm going to share the painting process of one of my latest paintings, Floating Memories. As some of you might know from one of my previous videos, I took part in Lioba Brückner's portrait course. With this piece, I had the chance to put the techniques I learned into practice for the first time. I hope you enjoy what you see and stay tuned, guys. So, before I begin trying out any techniques from Lioba's workshop, I first started by masking off all the areas that shouldn't be covered with acrylic paint. For the larger areas, I used regular printer paper and secured it with standard masking tape. Here you can see how I'm using a scalpel blade to carefully cut and remove the tape around the edges of the masked areas. For the smaller flowers, I use tape only. The printer paper simply helps me save on tape. This method worked really well, and I'm very happy with how clean the result turned out. Here you can see me slowly peeling off the masking tape. After that, I prepared more acrylic paint. I started with the hair, the areas that weren't masked off, using a mix of cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, burnt sienna and Prussian blue. Then I moved on to the background, where I blended blue and green tones and applied them in thin, glaze-like layers to suggest water. It was important to me that the brush strokes remain visible and expressive, especially considering that not all of it will be covered later with oil paint. This way, the beautiful first layer can shine through. For this process, I used an acrylic medium from Schminke, which gives great effect, and some extra larger brushes I bought after Lioba's course, as I didn't have those yet in my toolkit. I really loved this initial loose acrylic painting phase. And here I am carefully removing the tape from the canvas. It was quite a fiddly job, but the result speaks for itself. Beautiful, clean lines with no bleeding. Another great thing is that since I did the sketch beforehand, it remains perfectly visible because those areas didn't get any paint. If I had done the sketch after covering the whole canvas with acrylics, I might have run into issues of not being able to see it clearly. A dark sketch over dark paint would be hard to make out, and the same goes for light on light. Also, as Lioba demonstrated, having a light base is important for the glazing technique to really shine. Here you can see me continuing to paint the hair and adding dripping effects to the roses. Now I'm well prepared for the first oil layer. The palette you see here is handmade from thick cardboard, topped with baking paper. The baking paper is important because it prevents the cardboard from absorbing the paint. It's a great cost-effective solution You can make it in any size you like. I made mine to fit into my freezer, which helps keep the oil paints fresh for longer. All the colors you see me applying here were pre-mixed in advance. I am starting with the face, usually begin with the darker areas like the eyelids, nostrils and the corners of the mouth, then working my way across the rest of the face. What you're seeing here may look quite intense, and I must confess, I am pretty sure that for my next acrylic and oil projects, I will always start with at least one acrylic layer. In Lioba's course, it was taught otherwise, so no acrylic paint at all on the face and the rest of the figure. Hi guys, so you can see here the state of the painting. I am sorry for not sharing the whole entire process with you. It was a little bit tricky because in certain parts I didn't know what I was doing, and you can see it clearly by the outcome. It's really stripy and it's not beautiful blended. I know the first layer is not looking most of the time that good as the second or third layer, so I'm hoping when I finish the second layer it's looking so much better. And now I'm going to start the roses. Let's see. I have to say, the painting process, especially in the beginning of the first oil layers, was truly a challenge. That's why I'm all the more pleased with how the final result turned out. During those early stages, I really tried to recall how Lioba had approached them in her course. But since some time had passed between the end of the workshop and the start of this piece, I didn't remember every single step as clearly. Now you can see me working on those roses. Even though my original intention was to paint them very realistically, I eventually decided against it. The main reason is that in this painting the roses represent thoughts. Thoughts that come and go. Some are hard to hold onto, especially as time passes. Not all thoughts are pleasant or vivid. They vary in form and clarity. That's why the dripping effects on the roses were so important to me. They can be interpreted in different ways. Either the thoughts are dissolving, blending into the surroundings, or the drips represent a kind of residue being washed away, like something impure leaving the mind, allowing for greater clarity. As you can see here, I've returned to working on the face, trying to smooth out the brush strokes and the surface in general. I'm also adjusting the color a bit, since my initial mix wasn't quite accurate. Talk in between. I am going to let this oil painting layer to dry so I can put new colors on it and that the old colors won't smudge and won't blend into each other. And yeah, overall I really like the color scheme. I think from a distance this painting looks really cool. What I'm not satisfied with yet are those roses here and there, and I hope with the next layer that I can make them more realistic and more beautiful. And yeah, but let's see what's going to happen, and yeah, stay tuned guys. This is how the painting looks so far, and I'm not liking it. I don't know, a few hours ago the painting, or the woman in the painting, looked like there was a car crash, and she also had Botox all over her face. Now it's a little bit better, but yeah, I don't know what it is. I've turned this and the original photo into black and white, and yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I fixed some proportional issues, what was really necessary for this painting, and yeah, I now photographed this picture and I put it into Photoshop with the original one and do a layover so that I can really adjust the painting to my liking. So my partner here is coming down. As you can probably imagine by now, I was feeling really discouraged at this stage. I had such high hopes and a strong vision for the painting, but the execution, which was much looser and more abstract than I'm used to, really threw me off. I wasn't sure how to bring the piece back in line with my own style and preferences. That uncertainty took a toll on me, and I felt so unmotivated that I didn't even feel like documenting the painting process on video anymore. It got to the point where I seriously questioned whether I should continue the portrait at all or just abandon it altogether. But the more I worked on the face, and the closer it came to matching what I had imagined, the more my motivation returned. Giving up was no longer an option. I started to enjoy the process again. Even though you see me using very small brushes here, I also worked with larger ones. Though not quite as large as the 80mm brush you saw during the initial acrylic layers. That was one of the key takeaways from Lioba's course, and it was really valuable insight for me, especially when it comes to creating beautiful surfaces and soft transitions. Now you can see me working on those flower petals. For this I use colors that weren't fully blended beforehand, so you could see a nice gradient within a single brush stroke. I think this adds another layer of vibrancy and life to the painting. I really love how the petals turned out, even if they're not hyper-realistic. Then we move on to the corset. I was so excited to paint it. Originally, I had planned to keep this area more abstract, using oil paint to sculpt the roses in a very textured, three-dimensional way. But I ultimately decided against it. I was afraid of ruining the painting, especially now that I was finally enjoying it again. So I searched the internet for inspiration and reference material and ended up falling in love with a wedding corset design. As you can see, I sketched out a pattern using pastel pencils. Pastels are perfect for this kind of work because you can easily erase any mistakes. Just make sure your oil portrait is dry, unlike mine, which was still slightly wet, so the pastel pigment can't stick properly. Once the sketch was finished, I started painting the corset in with color. I love lace, flourishes and intricate detailing, so working on this part was especially fun for me. However, as you were about to see, I made one crucial mistake. I don't have much to say to you other than I got the boobs wrong. This breast is looking much bigger than the right one because I drew the top, not correct, and so I have to paint over it and Here I am wiping away the still wet paint using odorless mineral spirits and a disposable kitchen towel. I focused mainly on the left side of the chest, that's the left side from the viewer's perspective. I tried to preserve the right side as much as possible. This gave me the opportunity to repaint the area with a clean dry surface underneath. I am not the most patient when it comes to waiting for paint to dry, so as soon as I had removed the corset paint, I went right in with a new layer. During this stage I also added more detail to the right side. Many of the fine details you see here will become less distinct later on when I painted in the waves, and that's intentional. I didn't want everything in the painting to be highly detailed. The main focus should always remain on the face. Still, I just want to say again how much I love painting lace. And now we come to the final details, the waves. Thank you so much for watching and following along with me. Hi guys, I am finished with the painting Floating Memories. I really like how it came out. I do have to paint the edge down here. All of the others I have painted so far, but the bottom edge I have to paint today, tomorrow. Overall, I really like the painting. I think the contrast in this piece looks stunning. I have to say bye. She is home because she is a little bit sick and I want to protect her face. I don't want yeah, to put a face into public. If you like this video, please consider to like, share and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. So, guys, stay tuned till the next video is coming, hopefully next Friday. And I wish you, as always, a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever and whenever you are watching this video. Bye!